Coming up in today's episode, their body's not even occupied by their true spirit. Their energy got hijacked and siphoned out by an energy vampire.
So I had so many thoughts during this.
Welcome to episode 101 of Enter the Mind podcast, the most real talk, no nonsense podcast on the empowering of the mind. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about authenticity. So Kyra, how do we know when someone's being authentic?
Honestly, the first thing that came to my mind was you can feel it. Like, I feel like when somebody's not authentic, you can't feel it. Like, there's no connection. What about you?
I think it's definitely a feeling. But when we feel it, why are we feeling it? Like, what is the person doing? What is it about their energetic state at that moment that's making us feel like, hey, this person is really authentic? Like, I'm getting a 100% genuine energy from them.
I'm thinking it's because it's like a full embodiment. Like, a full embodiment, like if somebody really, is like super authentic, I don't know, like they feel it in like their entire body and you're like, whoa.
All right, this is amazing that you just said that, because I'm going to tell you why. I did not tell you this beforehand, before the episode, but I was listening to this course, a video course on energy work. It's through Mindvalley and it's called Duality. Just got to give credit to because I'm about to share their ideas, and it's from this guy named Jeffrey Allen, some energy healer guy. Anyways, he talks about this concept of your body is occupied by your spirit, but it's occupied to a certain percentage, the same way as like a glass of water or a glass is occupied by a certain, amount of liquid, right? So what he's saying is to really be fully in your body means your spirit is fully in your body. And the goal is, if you can connect to the universe, to energy, whatever, right? And he shares techniques on how to do this, then you can go from, 20% occupying your body to 100% full, as you just stated, full embodiment, which is very interesting. And that's why I thought of authenticity.
Oh my god, now, yeah, that is crazy. Oh my god, that's crazy. I love that I just said that because of how well it pertained to what you read in the book. That's incredible. It really reminds me of Lucy. You remember that movie, Lucy, where she occupies...
I heard about that movie,
where we're only using...
but it's been so long. I don't think I ever saw it.
Where we're only using like 10% capacity of our brains. And then like when you look to like metaphysics and shit like that, or there might be another word for it, but when you looked at that, we used to be like giants. Like, we used to be giant humans. Like, giants existed, so it's like some part capacity of our brain was cut off, and I feel like it has to do with the full embodiment of spirit in body.
Right. So it got me thinking a little bit differently. I mean, it sounds like, to some degree, a fairly simple concept, right? It's like, okay, is my spirit like 100% in my body? Is my body 100% occupied by spirit? It seems kind of simple, but it relates also to all of these mentionings we've made of energy leaks and energy vampires and the pendulum, to reference the concept from Vadim Zealand of reality transurfing, that if this is your body, and if I'm holding a glass, and if the water in this glass is your spirit, what happens when the pendulum comes along and starts to siphon your energy. It's like poking holes into the glass and some of the water starts to leak out. That's an energy leak. And so when we are doing things like watching the news and there's some political protest or whatever, or they're like, car thefts are increasing in San Francisco, right? That was in the news recently. And then people get all upset about it. They're like, these thieves, they have nothing better to do than just steal things out of people's cars. That right there is called an energy leak, in my opinion. Right? So that means your energy is leaking out. And what's going to happen? The level of your spirit inside of your body is going down, down, down. And when you interact with a person who's in a state like that, it's a total energy drain. Like, you don't feel like you're getting the true, genuine person. You're getting this weird void because their body's not even occupied by their true spirit. Their energy got hijacked and siphoned out by an energy vampire.
Robert's talking some real shit right now. Okay, so I had so many thoughts during this. And the first one was what you said about like having a conversation with somebody who's like not fully embodied by their spirit. It's like, you know, when like somebody's like lost, like too far gone, you know, things like that, you know. I remember being too far gone. Like, I remember being fucking out there, right? I was not here anymore. I don't know where the fuck I was. I don't know what was inhabiting my body, but it was not me, right? But I was here. I was here way deep down. But like you said, it was those energy leaks. And like, I kind of just started attracting all of this energy that wasn't actually my spirit. So it's not necessarily that like, people are bad, like we're bad people for accidentally taking in like energy, but it's like we gotta have some compassion, and we also have to remember to speak to. So if you see somebody and you're like, oh, she's still in there, or like he's still in there, or like he's in there, he's stuck by a few things, or like she's in there but she's stuck by a few things, you know, speak to her. When you say she's in there, speak to her. Don't speak to the energies that she's accumulated, because it's only going to feed those energies and keep them alive in that person.
I like what you're saying about there's somebody inside of us that's like waiting to come out, or that's not being fully expressed at all times. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at with this authenticity question. That you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And what's blocking it? It's like people's fears or people's conditioning, or it's weird because you can talk to somebody, you can have a face-to-face interaction with somebody, and you can be like, all right, I know I'm not getting this person's true opinion on this matter. They're just giving me this sort of kind of like, I mean, to take an obvious example, you call up a well-trained customer service line. You know, I did this with with Marriott, and I was trying to like reschedule my hotel, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your convenience, sir." Blah blah blah, and it's like they're just reading from a script. You know that they're not truly feeling it. Can you tell when somebody's not really being their full self with you? Like the customer service example, when they're just saying things that are not like they're not they don't really mean what they're saying.
Yeah, I have conversations like that with people sometimes, and I usually like just don't feed into them. Remember 10x virtual, when he was talking about like life knocking the shout out of you? And there was a time when life knocked the shout out of me. And my authenticity went out the window because I was just so, like you said, scared. Like, I didn't want people to judge me. I didn't want people to hurt me. I was so fucking sick and tired of being hurt by people. And it was so hard for me to, like, really open up again to people. And, like, it's still a challenge today. But, like, it comes to a point when you realize, like, if you just make a decision on a daily basis, or like one day and just be like, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to be authentic as fuck. Like, authentic as fuck. I'm just going to be the best me, most authentic that I can possibly be, and then see what happens. Just like see what happens. Like, do an experiment. When's the last time that you just went through a day just to see what happened? Like, just to do something and be like, I wonder if this will work. Let's check it out today. Let's do an experiment.
Well, what would someone need to do in order to try to be more authentic if they were to do this exercise?
Well,
What
that's the
step would
thing.
be that?
So it's like a proven 100% fact that when you ask your brain a question, it has to go and answer it. So if you say to yourself, like, how can I be my most authentic self today? Or what can I do that I feel like aligns with my most authentic self? But also, like, so since earlier we were talking about, like, she's in there and, like, he's in there, and, like, sometimes we're all just muddled up by, like, crap. That she inside of you, like, if you kind of direct yourself to her or him and you're like, I'm gonna be authentic today, then you're tapping it, like, it hears you. It's who you are because it's your most authentic self, and it will come out. And you're like, this is happening today.
This reminds me of one of the quotes from Reality Transurfing, which was, when you go to work, give of your head and your hands, but not your heart. Because, and I guess this is more so for people who like go to a day job where it's like they're working for somebody else. It's not their own business. It's not right. So give to your job of your hands and your head, but not your heart, because the work pendulum will take your entire soul if you give it. Something like that, right? I'm roughly paraphrasing, but I was like, wow, that's so brilliant, because yes, I mean, if you're working for somebody else, you do want to help the cause, right? Use your hands, use your head, right? Solve problems, but not your heart, because it's it's different. I've seen people get too involved with it, right? Where, let's say somebody allows their whole identity to come from like their job. And so their whole identity comes from this title that they have, and they have no sense of self. Like, you take their job away, like somebody gets laid off or whatever, they will enter a huge depression for months, and they will not know what to do because they were so dependent. Their spirit was like 50% occupying their body, the whole rest was their job. And it's like, why are you going to let yourself live your entire limited life on planet Earth at 50% spirituality, because you're just distracted by this other, validation that you're getting from your job, or fear, or self-consciousness of worrying about what other people are going to think, or all sorts of things, right? um, to me, that's like a disaster, is to live, to come to the end of your life and realize, like, your spirit never really fully took occupancy of your body.
And that's like one of the things that drives me, like, every day, because there's like these motivational Spotify things. I listen to them very frequently. I fucking love them. I want to start making them. They're amazing. But he says, imagine that when you die, like, do you want to imagine when you die, you look yourself in the eyes and you weren't even half the person that you could have been, or were supposed to be, or were made to be, sort of thing. And then imagine like another life where you look into the eyes and it's you. You know, it's everything that you could have been. And that, just to think about that, you know, it's like such a beautiful thing. So, you know, it's not, you know, don't be ashamed, you know, if you're listening to this and you feel like, you know, oh, like I got to start occupying, you know, my body more. Shit, I'm sitting here thinking like, like how can I occupy my body even more than I already am? Like this is a really great thought. Yeah, like be encouraged. It's like, woo! Woo! I got the information.
Right. Well, I think in order to do this, we have to conquer fear to some degree, because I think that's a big factor. That's a big reason why we don't allow all of like 100% of our spirit to occupy the body. Is there's like this fear of like, well, if I am authentic, people might not like it. And so I would say maybe the root problem is like a fear of judgment and like an insecurity and the fear of rejection and not being able to handle that.
You just blew my fucking mind. Oh my god. The connections I just made when you said, I don't know, there's something, because the spirit is an essence. And when you're saying like we're afraid, it's like there's like this fear that we've learned about like full embodiment, like coming down. Oh my god, that is some really good stuff.
Yeah, well, what you just said, that key word, I think, is freedom. I mean, when you just said free, or we're really free or something, I had a kind of a light bulb go off in my head. And I was like, well, to, when did we learn to allow fear to keep us from shining our light?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I see what you mean. I'm just thinking about it, and I mean, we could go back in time and, you know, find out when giants were actually like stopped growing to the size of like super tall, you know, big boned humans. Um, and I guess that we can just maybe take a look at the difference in people, maybe the amount of people who were successful, you know, in embodying their true souls, you know, here on Earth. And we can obviously take a depiction of that by looking at their pictures and seeing what we feel, you know, what we get from them, you know, what things they accomplished in life. So we could do that, right? And we could take a look at human evolution and see really like when did they start programming us? When did they start putting stuff in our food that made us believe that this was bad? Made us believe that, you know, like the movie Lucy, that's had us stop accessing the full capacity of like what we're actually capable of.
Right. So, like trying to trace back the storyline. So, assuming, of course, that at some point in history we were more authentic as humans. I guess when I asked the question at one point, when did we learn to let fear hold us back? I think I was meaning in the sense of like age 4 or age 5, age 6, as opposed to like, oh, 500 years ago, that's when humans started to be less authentic. Do you think we are less authentic than we were 1,000 years
I mean,
ago?
that's a great question too, because maybe. But I feel like it's not, it's like, okay, like I get it, like what age, like when we're babies, our brains are, we just learn how to do things, right? So we learned that it was a bad thing. It's because everything that we felt from people around us, the way that they spoke to us as if we weren't fucking capable. Like, I hate that shit, right? There's nothing more that I hate and can't stand when, like, somebody coddles, like, a human, either whether it's a baby or, like, a human, and they're like, oh, are you okay? Like, are you okay? Are you gonna be okay? Like, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You're gonna get hurt. And it's like, bitch, what you mean I'm gonna get hurt? Like, I am fully equipped. I got muscle, baby. I got brains. Like, I can do this. Like, stop undermining me. And that's what we were talking about earlier, about speaking to the core person of somebody. Because if you speak to the programming, the limitations, the incapabilities, the insecurities, it's going to bring it out more in them. And, Grant always teaches, treat your clients, treat your potential buyers, treat everyone like a fucking billionaire. Because that's who we really are inside, and we all have that piece of brain. We're just waiting for somebody to pull it out of us and stop talking to us like we're fucking stupid.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think some of it does come from our environments and the way that people treat us, and we can't really help it. I mean, it's especially if you're young, right? If you're young, if you're 10 years old, you don't understand this mind stuff, mental empowerment and spiritual, right? Like, and then you have some adult in your life that talks to you as if you are weak. You're going to start believing that you're weak, right? If an adult is very fear-based around you, you're going to start to become fear-based.
And I get that.
Fear,
right? But the poor
go ahead.
kid, he's freaking 10 years old. And of course he doesn't know how to maneuver his mind, because in school we're taught how to solve fucking math problems and the history of Sacagawea. Like, I get it, Sacagawea is pretty fucking cool. I loved learning that, but still, if the kid were maybe taught how to maneuver his mind and regulate his emotions and understand himself, then when he sees his dad talking to him like he's stupid, right? It could awaken something in him, something mature. There are some responses that, like, I listen from kids, like the way that they talk to their parents, and I'm like, wow, that was really mature of you. Like, it's,
So you're saying it's always possible for a kid to become
yes.
authentic,
But if they,
even if the adults around
I
them
guess,
are not?
learned at a young enough age that, like, when you're not your authentic self, you attract shit that you don't want, right? So when you are your authentic self, you would attract what you want. And I feel like it's as simple as that.
Yes, and I would add to that, coming back to Frederick Dodson's levels of energy scale, if you are not being authentic, it's probably because you're being in fear. And if you're in fear, you're vibrating in the 100s, which is very low, right? If you're truly being yourself and you're being authentic 100% spiritually occupying your body, you're going to be like in the 500s and 600s on the scale of energy, because you're going to be in joy, in peace, and all sorts of that. You're not in fear. Fear is like one of the low, it's the bottom rung. Like shame, anxiety, worry, and fear are like the first couple levels on this thing. And those are all the things that keep us from being authentic, if you think about it.
And a lot of, like, I guess, like, I had a false meaning with it. I thought that, like, embodying, like, my truest power, like, meant that I was being arrogant. And, like, somebody made me believe that, right? So I believed that for a long time. And it's still something that I'm trying to push out. Like, it's gone, but, like, it's still here a little bit. So I was thinking about this the other day, right? So it's like, if I can learn somewhere along the line that embodying my full self, I'm arrogant, right? And arrogance is bad, right? We don't want to be arrogant. And I mean, that's true. We don't want to be arrogant, but that's the thing. It's not arrogance. We accidentally labeled it as something else. So yeah, if we can label, right, relabel in our minds, embodying our full spirits as good, safe, right? And like repeat that in your mind, like as you're embodying yourself, and maybe you're getting anxiety, maybe you're getting shame, maybe you're getting all of these, thoughts that are making you feel uncomfortable. You can say to yourself, this is like, instead of listening to those, you say, this is safe. God has led me to this. I have led myself to this. Reality has led myself to this. I am safe. This is safe. And just keep saying that until you actually believe it.
Right. It's kind of like coaxing yourself into being authentic, or telling yourself
teaching yourself, yes, that it is okay to be authentic, because somewhere along the lines we were taught that it was not okay.
Right. Nice. What would you say is a good power question from today's topic?
I think that it would be really beneficial for you to do an exercise, for our listeners to do an exercise and do that exercise. Like, look at yourself. Imagine, you die at age 120 or whatever, and you're looking into the eyes of everything that God made you to be. Everything that God made you to be. Everything that God made you to feel, to see, to love, to smell, right? And feel that, and look into the eyes of the person who wasn't even 25% of who God made them to be.
Got it. Yeah, that's great because of the perspective. I mean, really helps us to come out of that fight or flight perspective of the now, where we're fearful. But if we put ourselves in, that perspective of our old self, 120 years old, or whatever, looking back, I think the truth becomes a lot clearer. So that's a great tool. Let's end on that. And so try that power question of the day. Did you find at least one gold nugget in today's episode? Then please like and subscribe and share it with a friend. And finally, if you're looking for a community of like-minded people, join our free Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/enterthemind.